Well, KG, one of the most exciting nights a couple of weeks ago here at Wavell.
I loved it.
Retro, what would you call it? Harness racing, KG?
Harness racing?
Retro harness racing? Oh. No, we won't call it retro harness racing. No. All right, up yours then.
What was that about?
What happened?
5, 4, 3, technical issue, 2.
Technical issue, KG, so I don't really know what's going on now, but are we going?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. No, go with us. You guys do whatever you want, don't bring us in on it.
No, we're not on board.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2.
KG, an absolutely outstanding night here 3 weeks ago at Wavell. The harness racing was packed. You absolutely loved it. Our next guest, of course, Ryan Ryhorrick, dominates harness racing. He's been good enough to come in, one of the best. The CEO, Johnny Lewis. Fellas, thanks for coming in. Pleasure. Let's start with you, Ryan. I mean, the driver sitting there, the horses, the track. How did you see the night?
Yeah, it was an amazing experience. Something I was looking forward to a fair way out before I got there. We had sort of run-arounds and then we had official trials. And yeah, it was a big build-up and it was very exciting and the experience was amazing.
What about from a personal point of view? I can remember the first race you won there. You turned for home round the concrete stand. As soon as you turned for home and you had it won, woof, 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 went the whip. And the whole way down the strata, you won the bloody Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, it was...
was the family there?
Yeah, I had my 2 children were turning for home right in the corner, so it was just a little wave to them and then the roar of the crowd was just something that...
Why was it so important, Ryan? Because you gave me the impression it was just an important moment for you.
Yeah. My father drove there, and obviously there's a lot of
history. Yeah,
a lot of history there. So to be a driver that has driven there and now won a race is quite a very good thing to have in your feather, have in your cap.
It was fantastic.
I mean, there were only 12 drivers invited. You were one of them. You just touched on it before, the atmosphere of the crowd. What was that like for you?
It was just... It's really hard to explain. We don't get to drive in. Well, I don't get to drive in front of big crowds, and just to have people yelling over the fence, and after my first drive, high-fiving people, and then next time you come around, people saying, "Oh, you left me hanging."
Sorry, I was concentrating on the race.
What was the track like? A tight track. Well, from the driver's point of view, what was it like going back then driving there?
Yeah, it's a lot different for us because it's a lot tighter, and then obviously the drivers being so tight and then the speed we're going on such a small track. But Harness Racing SA done an amazing job to get the surface pretty well as good as we needed it.
Yep.
And unfortunately, just from one little mishap in the first race, everything was smooth sailing.
I thought, gee whiz, that's exactly what we don't need. A prang on the first, it wasn't a bad prang, but that's where they used to happen in the old days, around by the concrete stand. So thank goodness it didn't happen again.
Ryan wasn't alive when you were watching that. Hey, Ryan, just before we get to Johnny, one more question. For you, you said the buzz, the atmosphere was great for the driver. The horses react any differently to the crowd?
No, not really. I mean, they're a very, very good breed. They take to a lot of things with no drama. They're pretty laid back with noise and movement and stuff like that, so we're lucky in that regard.
Now, John, will they go back to Wavell next year, or not?
Our plan is to make it an annual event, so we were delighted with
an annual event.
Yeah, to make it an annual event. It's a very expensive event to put on. As you know, we hadn't raced there for 44 years, so the infrastructure was 44 years old, so we had to bring it all back in. But definitely we're keen to make an annual event. The Show Society were delighted with the event, so they're very keen to have us back. So that's great news. And to be honest, we're looking at probably a date closer to Christmas, so to make it not just similar to the old Twilights at Victoria Park. So capitalise on that. Yeah. People knocking off work on a Friday, the Christmas show. So a great event all round.
Johnny, what do you reckon you learnt from it? In hindsight's always a wonderful thing. And I said to you before we started, everyone that I've spoken to, from the drivers to the fans that are involved, I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about it. So that's unique in itself. But for you said there was a lot of infrastructure that needed to be done. Hindsight now, what areas would you improve on?
Actually, to be honest, Phil, we did just about everything right. I mean, the criticisms that we've got probably have been not necessarily racing related, but probably more on, say, some logistical things that perhaps we could have done a bit differently. But even then, I've never been to an event, to be honest, as you know, and people can be critical, where they're really, it's been very mild, the criticism. And in fact, it gets down to, maybe the pie could have been a little bit hotter or whatever. But,
the crayfish wasn't there.
They were hot, the crayfish was a bit expensive. But no, I think the things that we can't control that you would do is increase the size of the track. For example, as Ryan touched on, it's a 510 metre track, and most tracks these days a minimum size of about 840, going up to 1,400 metres at Menangle. So, but that's something we can't do anything about. So, no, I think we've got a number of debriefs going on at the moment. I think we can always improve the event. There's no doubt about it. The wagering was very strong. You know, for a venue that hasn't been raced on for 44 years, the wagering was incredible. Both the on-course tote and the off-course tote was unbelievable, considering it was on Sky 2, which is our lower channel. So
exactly. What was the crowd, John?
around 8,000.
8,000.
So we were, look, to be honest, we're very happy with the crowd. I mean, if you got that at the Galaxy,
The feeling was fantastic, John.
it was incredible. The atmosphere.
Yeah.
I think you can fit up to 12,000 at that venue, and we're hoping to build on this tradition now and have it annually. And then I'm sure this event can get bigger and bigger. And you know, having Ryan and all the other South Australian drivers there, the people from Interstate who came back was tremendous. Greg and Jeffrey and Katie Gath, it was terrific. And no, it was just a wonderful night.
Hey Ryan, you're in the room with the other drivers. What were they thinking after the race? You get a chance to chat with them. Were they kind of like, "Wow, this is great," or another day at the races? What was the feel amongst the fellas?
Yeah, no, I had a couple of the older drivers a bit on edge. Jeffrey's like, because he's always known as a bit of a cat, you know, every time he falls, he lands on his feet. He's like, I don't even want to be landing on anything.
And he crashed in the first race too.
Yeah, he done an amazing job there. He obviously went over the driver and just got out the bike in a flash, grabbed his bike, threw his bike out the way. And so yeah, it was different end of the scales because there was quite a younger group from our side. Adelaide, Kenny Rogers, quite young, towards Jeffrey, Lance and John, quite on the older side. But yeah, they were really happy with how the track was and how we managed to get around it.
Gee, Ryan, you're having a very successful time. 5 winners the other night. I walked into the lounge room, I had it on. I heard Jimmy Jakes screaming, and this is win number 5 for Ryan. How many times have you done that? Driven 5 winners at a meeting?
Yeah,
5?
I don't really keep records, but Jimmy sort of, I don't know where he finds it, but he always manages to find it somewhere. And I think Jimmy said it was the 6th time I've driven
5 winners.
Meeting, so, yeah.
And you must be pleased personally how things have gone for you because you're taking it by storm.
Yeah, it's really hard to do something like that in regards to even try and get that many drivers on a meeting.
Yeah.
Let alone get horses that have chances.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's pretty big.
He's only had the 1,701 wins in his career at the moment.
He
Kay,
can
so
drive.
He's battling a little bit at the
I'll
moment to
never
strike up a
forget
win.
that down the straight with the whip going. What a start.
2 kids, not really interested in the horses at all. I mean, you've got a farm that what's the right term? Sorry, an area where you're breeding the horses, you're training them, and you're doing all that. Kids not engaged in it yet?
Very big into sport. Not so in the harness side of things anyway. Daughter rides pony. My little boy is really big into football and cricket. So they're not into the harness racing, but that one night was just amazing
for them.
They were just screaming over the fence, "Go, Dad!" Got an amazing video footage of them just yelling. So yeah, it was
while you were driving,
experience.
that's good. Whip in hand, video camera in the other, still winning. That's
a
unbelievable.
sensational night, John. Honestly, I loved it. Bill Braxton, wonderful memory. I've been a bit biased here, but it was a great night.
Yeah, it was. I think we owed it to, no offence, your generation,
Yeah,
Kate,
exactly.
and the people that, and I think a lot of people in South Australia have a connection with Wavell. I think I spoke to Phil before about it, whether it was you went there or your parents or grandparents went there, and now the traditions continued. I thought one of the most moving aspects was Wayne Jakes, who drove the last winner at Wavell.
I was with him.
And him bringing onto the track.
Yeah.
And
I sat in the car with him.
Yeah, it was tremendous, and they did the replay of that race back in 1973.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like a young Wayne Jakes, and it was
Lovely
very
man.
emotional and very moving, and a terrific guy. And so those sort of things, it was just, as you say, an outstanding night. Very busy night, a lot of work went into it, but credit to Chris Hartwig, our chairman, and the board who had the vision. We implemented the vision, and I think, and Ryan and the team did a great job.
Off.
And yeah, it was just a wonderful night of racing, very exciting, and it's just a must-go-to event next year.
Yeah, appreciate you coming in. Another 40 years and we'll be able to watch you on the screen when you are, right? Fantastic, mate.
Well done,
I
Ryan.
appreciate you coming in. Well done to
Well done,
everyone.
you, Johnny. Well done.
Stay with us.
Great
Plenty
night.
still to come on the show.